just work on it, that's all. So I'm going to explain the world by way of these two triangles. You can write this down. There's a lot more information about all this online. So let me go over here. Can everybody see it from over there? That's good. Okay, we have two triangles. I guess I'll put them both over here. All right, so the very first one is the larger point to the left and the point to the right. Now, in Indianapolis, we had no whiteboard. So I had to literally do this. I had to do this. In front of like 90, higher ed people. Most were laughing. Not everybody, but most were laughing. So this is the first triangle. Now, this is something that's known as, very simply, in our terminology, the IER, or the Information Exchange Rate. So to explain the Information Exchange Rate, here's the definition. The amount of time it takes to spread information from point A to point B around the world. Doesn't matter what the information is, doesn't matter what 2 points there are around the globe. Now, to do this, I need everyone's input, because the benefit of being in a crowd of people my age is that you have the experience that I have. When I do this in front of 20-year-olds, they're like, huh? So it's a little bit easier with a crowd of people my age, so this will be fine. So go back 600 years ago. None of us were alive, I don't think. Some days I feel like that. What was invented that forever changed the way people communicated? Printing press. Hey, see, I love being with people like that. It's not a challenge. The students are like, I don't know, papyrus? No! Papyrus? I remember 8th grade where I'm like, what? God, I hate getting older. The PP, the printing press. Right? By Johann Gutenberg. Right? Middle of the 15th century. And actually, if you think about it, 400 years actually goes by before the next invention that transforms the way humans communicate. What is that? Telegraph. Very good. The telegraph. And again, give me some leeway here. And then, actually, a short time after that, what else is invented? Telephone. Oh, I love you guys. You guys are great. You guys are great. All right, now, after the phone, the radio. Ah! Younger people were like, what's the radio? Like, they have no idea. It's like foreign to them. It's like, what's that thing on the car? 98 what? What is that? I don't know what that is. After the radio? TV. Then after the, I could have spread it out a little bit more. That's okay. After the TV? Okay, PCs, right, absolutely. And then a short time after that, first generation what? Cell phones. Right, first gen cell phones. Remember Danny Glover and Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon 1? Right, we saw that. He stops on the bridge. The phone is like this big. It's so big he's got to rust it on the bridge. Right? And he's got to make the call. It's like, oh my goodness, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm a big Seinfeld fan. You can see how outdated it is now. Right? They stop, they use the payphone to check their messages. It's like, oh, I remember that was horrible. Okay, then what? Okay, then, but what kind of internet access? Dial-up. No one has dial-up in here, do they? If you do, get out. Get out. Get out right now. Dial-up. And then what? So we'll do second generation cells, and then today, laptops, netbooks, and then third generation, right, with 3G and 4G wireless access. So it's the history of the world here in a very brief period of time. Now, how long did it take for information to go from point A to point B prior to the printing press? Prior to the printing press. Whew. Decades, right? Centuries, maybe. Who knows? So a long time. Once the printing press came about, what could you do? I'm going to steal your pad so I don't have to go over there. What could humans now physically do? They could share information. You could write it down and give it to you, and you could keep it. For the first time in world history, it revolutionized how humans interacted with one another. So give me some leeway. And instead of decades or centuries, we're going to say years, because you still had to walk, right? I mean, there were no cars or buses or trolleys back then. So it's years. So then 400 years goes by, in the early 1800s, you have the telegraph. So then what does that do to the information exchange rate? Brings it down. Brings it down. I'm going to say now to months. Because if you know your history, not every house, not every vicinity, town, city, whatever you want to call it, had a telegraph machine. So you could still get a transatlantic message, right? As the cables were laid and across the world, but it would still take some time. Okay, you're allowing me to be flexible, thank you. Then the phone comes about. So from months now, we go to weeks, because not everybody had a phone initially, right? It just still was the case. And then the radio. So now the radio is going to bring it down to maybe days. Remember the first radio station, I think, was in Pittsburgh in 1927, thereabouts? You could barely say anything on the radio back then. Now, oh my goodness, it's a free-for-all. And then TV came along. Hours, because not everybody had a TV first. I still remember when we got our color TV in Southwest Philly. It was like the biggest thing ever. Like, oh, look, we have color TV. I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And now I look back, and I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. It just really wasn't. And then what? Oh, PCs. Now, this is going to still be hours or perhaps minutes. It all depends on, again, your accessibility to the first generation PCs. Right? And then we had the first generation cell phones. So perhaps minutes, still, it depends. Remember, they were expensive at the beginning. Not everybody had them. You had a car phone. Anybody have a car phone? Maybe you had a car phone. Maybe. And then the internet. So now the internet's breaking it down into maybe 30 seconds to get uploaded to the internet. It depends on dial-up. It could take a while, right? It could take a while. And then we enter the last couple of years. It's now, the information exchange rate is happening so fast that it's happening in real time. To use Friedman's phrase, we have gone from the connected to the hyper-connected in the short period of time. We now have 3G connectivity. This Android operating system, that's Dixie, she runs the house. 3-year-old Chelsea, she's in charge. The earthquake yesterday scared the heck out of her. Running around in circles, I'm like, oh geez, come here, let me get you. Once she's on the leash, she's very calm. The Android operating system, the iPhone, any of the operating systems now allow you to, you can videotape me and upload and stream it online. Someone in Japan could be watching me speak, as it is happening. The information exchange rate is here to stay. We're not going back. It's not a fad. It's not the hula hoop. Right? I can't do the hula hoop. As if you couldn't tell. It's not a fad. It's here. And if you think about it, the people in front of you, if they're, maybe it's 20. If they're 20 years of age or younger, they've grown up in the connected to the hyper-connected world. Their first 20 years of life are very different than your first 20 years. Right? I mean, I have to say that, though, because I know I've done this long enough to realize that people just don't think like that. They really don't. I mean, and that's okay. And another exercise that we could do is, what percentage of your life have you had access to the internet? My daughter and son's generations is 100%. For us, maybe it's 50%, 40%, 30%, I don't know. Depends on your age. So you have to ask yourself that very important question. What's sitting in front of me? Is a student that's grown up in this environment. Now this is crazy enough. We haven't even talked about implications yet. That's coming. I still have to do the opposite triangle. Does this make sense, the information exchange rate? So we're exchanging information faster than ever before. And everybody is doing it. How many people have access to the internet online? Or access to the internet online? To the internet, it's redundant. 2 billion. The UN says by 2050, the global population is going to go from about 7 billion currently to about 10 billion. By 2050, you're probably going to have 4 billion people online. Twice as many people online as now. Don't even pretend to think that any of us know what that's going to look like. We can't even comprehend what 4 billion online is going to do to how we interact with people. We're trying. There was an article in the Inquirer years ago, Philadelphia Inquirer, not the national one, Philadelphia one, and the author said, it's like drinking from a fire hydrant. And it is. And it's greatly impacted how we teach children, of all ages. Of all ages. That's what our Horizon Report is so good. The Horizon Report's free. I don't get anything from promoting it. It's just a fantastic piece of research that everybody needs to read. All right, so now let's couple